Okay, we are recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting. This is going to be exciting. No, it's not, but we're going to do it anyway. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the vision for the guild because, a lot of people have been on at different hours, they have different interests, etc. Um, so number one, first and foremost, the most important thing here is to have fun. That does mean different things for different people, but we're here to have fun. I'm playing a game. I want to have fun. All right. I like to have social interactions with people. I like to play the game. That's what I find fun. Everybody finds different things fun. Some people like PvP. Some people like PvE. Some people like raiding. Some people don't. But number one thing here is to have fun, and so everything is going to center around that. If you like PvP, we're not PvP focused, but have a good time. Go for it. You want to just do dungeons? Just do dungeons. That's fine. We're going to be trying to get to raiding, but you don't have to raid with us. That's fine. If you don't find raiding fun, don't worry about it. If you can't raid because of time, don't worry about it. The most important thing is that we got to keep an environment where people are enjoying themselves, whether that be raiding, dungeons, PvP, or just being social, etc. It's very important to us, so I hope that we can all at least share that vision of the guild. If you don't want to have fun, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. So we have some goals, in the short term and the long term that we'd like to accomplish as a guild. Number one thing right now is to recruit, because we need more people. More people is more good as long as they're good people. Every guild member should be on the lookout for more recruits. Make sure that they are good people. Make sure that they're good players if possible. If they want to raid anyway, they should be good players. Obviously, the more people to have, the more flexibility we have when it comes to dungeons, raids, etc. When speaking of raiding, we do want to raid. A lot of people in this guild seem to want to raid. I'm one of them. And we are going to do that. That is a big goal of ours. Ideally, it'd be good if we could clear everything, because I would like to kill everything. And I'm not just talking about in the game. I'm a little genocidal. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Of course, I'll spare you guys, but But we need all hands on deck if we're going to get raiding to happen. This is not going to be easy. Not everybody's hitting 70 at the same time. There's a lot of people here who, they're in like level 30 or something. Look, it's fine. We totally understand. But in order to get everybody to the point where we can raid, that means that there's going to be teamwork involved, You're going to have to help people who aren't as far as you are. Right now, Void has been begging for an Underbog run, and as much as I tease him, we should go do that, even if we don't need Underbog. In a few months, right, Void? He can't say anything. Haha. But yeah, help people who aren't as far as you. Help people get their gear. They need attunements, professions, get them raid ready. Or, hell, if they have a different goal. Let's say somebody's getting ganked. Go help them out. This is what we're here for, This is an MMO. You're not playing a single player game for a reason. If you don't want to raid, again, I'm going to stress it is 100% fine. We are totally fine with having people here who don't want to raid. Please don't feel pressured to do that. And another thing is, as we grow, we're going to need more people in leadership, which, leads me to my next point. Officership is honestly more of a responsibility than it is a power. It's not so much about, wielding your power over others as it is helping us corral a bunch of people and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So while I am looking for people, please don't feel like it's something you should be aiming to do. This is a very specific, responsibility, and a good potential officer when you see it. I'm looking for people who have experience with this sort of thing, who like dealing with people, in control of their emotions, etc. Something that would work for everybody, and people who aren't seeking power for the sake of seeking power, because if you really care that much about power in an online game, you're not officer material. I'm sorry. just by definition. So basically, like I said, you know a good officer when you see them. And I've been seeing one, and his name is Voidberg. I am going to be promoting Void right now. He'll be able to talk, and he has a couple things he wants to say. Void, you should be able to unmute your microphone now. If you can't, try rebooting Discord. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, look at that. All right, hang on. Now I had to close a window. Everything is a little jacked up on my end. But...
No problem.
Okay, I'm sorted out. So I just a couple of things here before we kind of get into the meat of the meeting here. Hey, thanks, Vishy. It's a compliment to be given some, a little bit of authority and influence so quickly.
Yeah, you think it's a compliment now,
on...
you'll see.
Exactly. But, being a GM in the past, an officer, I understand the gravity of it, and it's not something I take lightly. So cheers, man. For what it's worth, my first guild on this server, they offered me to be an officer, and I quit the guild the next day. So I'm staying here largely because of the community that we have and because of you, Vishy. So I think you're going to be a good GM. So
thank you.
I'm in it to win it, buddy.
I'm liking the circle jerk where nobody can object because they're all muted.
So for everybody else, I'm here to help the guild work towards success. As Vishy said, I totally want us to have fun, but I also want us to do really well in game. So I'm going to be pushing to do some raiding and some heroics and things like that as we're able to do so. One of the things that I want to say is as we make changes in the future, give us feedback, good and bad. If it's something you don't understand, you don't like, tell us. If it's something you do like, tell us. I think I speak for both of us when we totally have an open door policy. And as much as we like to laugh and joke, if you want to have a serious conversation with either one of us, please do so. So that's all I had to say there. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
You want me to take the next one here?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I just want to briefly touch on the WoW Classic launch. We are aware that it's happening, and we don't really care. We're not going anywhere. We're like I said, we're in it to win it here. We're going to be investing our time to getting us to a rating point. So if you're going to go do Classic, you might want to let us know. But we're staying here, so we hope everybody else does too.
Yeah, and if you do want to go to Classic, that is understandable. We will be here. If you keep your character here, remember there's no subscription fee here, so we will be here.
Good deal. You want to talk about guild ranks, bud?
Sure, yeah. So currently the system is needs work. But that's the reason why that the guild rank system is as simple and subjective as it is right now is because we have not much to assign to them. So that will be changing. The only formal rank up in the guild right now is from recruit to nameful, so your first promotion, which happens from being here after a week. This will give you the ability to withdraw 1 stack per day from the first bank tab, and deposit items into tab 2, which is TBC items. Again, we will be changing this as we increase, the stuff that we can assign to these roles. So this is a temporary situation. Void and I both want to make it so that way ranks are transparent and that they are completely objective. They are not up to us, etc. The only subjectivity that I think will be kept in it is that if there's a particular reason why we don't want to promote somebody, even if they qualify for that, I'm not going to promote that person. So yeah, everybody be on your best behavior, and you should be fine. Once we do come up with better, assignments for the ranks, we will definitely, disclose that to everybody. Keep an eye on the guild messages of the day. That will always be, a good way to keep up to date. Keep an eye on Discord. I have an announcements channel, so anytime we do stuff like that, I would probably put it in announcements as well and ping everybody. Since most people have only recently met each other, rank ups at the moment don't have formal guidelines, like I said, and at the moment I'm just kind of doing that second promotion for people that, that I've been hanging out with and I trust, with the additional responsibilities and stuff. But again, that will not be staying the same way for long. By the way, for those of you, I did get at least one whisper here with suggestions. We are going to have a portion of this meeting at the end for suggestions, so keep them ready. You will be able to speak.
Just to add, right now, as kind of Vishy was saying, the guild ranks, they don't really mean anything because we don't have an active guild bank. We're not rating that kind of stuff. But as these things fall into place, we'll ensure that the guild ranks are there and reflect.
Exactly. Another thing we want to talk about, behavior. As it says in the guild description and the Discord rules, we want people to act their age. Unless you are a child, then don't act your age. Act above your age. This should be self-explanatory, but I'm going to go through it anyways. Number one for me, I've been seeing sometimes, we had a person who was in the guild, they wound up leaving, so, that's good. But we had somebody who was in world chat talking very poorly about other people. Don't do that. Generally speaking, like, I have political views. Most people have political views. I keep them to myself. And no matter how much I sometimes want to say something to somebody and say, you're wrong, part of being an adult is knowing when the right time to do that is. And I think in world chat on a video game is not the right place for that. So behave yourselves, because the reason why is that you are a representative of the guild. As long as you are in the guild, you have our guild name next to you, people can /who you, and if they see that you're acting like a douchebag, that reflects badly on the guild. Don't be a douchebag. Void, I believe you wanted to take the next part.
Yes, sir. So basically piggybacking on the behavior issue, I want everybody to adopt the idea of like having a game face, right? So right now we have this great community where we laugh and joke, we give each other a hard time, and it's just a shit ton of fun, and we totally want to keep that. It's fantastic. But there are times when we kind of need to be a little bit more serious, and we need to kind of get those game faces on.
Kind of like now.
Kind of like now, exactly. So, when we're raiding, when we're doing difficult content, when we're clearing new things, if there's somebody new and they just need to hear an explanation, like, try to behave yourselves. Just keep it down to a dull roar while we are serious for a little bit. If a run is going really bad, people get grumpy, myself included. Maybe get a little bit serious till we get back on track, and then we can kind of loosen up a little bit. But use your judgment. But also be able to slip into that mode. Anything else on that, Vishy?
Yeah. Part of that is also, be patient with people who are new, whether that be new to the guild or new to WoW or new to Burning Crusade, because, if somebody is experiencing something for the first time, or for example, like myself, for the first time in a decade, we might need a refresher, we might need instructions. Just assume that people need instructions unless you know otherwise. Don't go pulling bosses if you're a tank and you don't, and not everybody's on the same page. Come on. We know better than that. If you can help educate people, it helps you. A rising tide lifts all ships, and you'll see that that's a recurring theme in this meeting here. It's all about teamwork. We're a guild. We should act like it.
Absolutely. I want to touch on the guild bank.
You skipped a part.
I pretty much covered that, I think.
Okay.
So guild bank. So the idea for the guild bank is something that we can have that we can use for repairs, particularly on raid nights. We'd like it to be a source of flasks and enchants and gems and all the other consumables and that sort of a thing. Right now we're in a bit of a tough spot because we're not raiding, we're not getting BOEs, so we're having a hard time sort of building up our guild bank reserve, if you will. So I will let Vishy talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so we have basically two options when it comes to building up the guild bank. Number one is donations, which is how we've been operating thus far, and it's just not enough unless people, really step it up, because we're getting a couple here and there, etc., which is great. It's something, but we're never going to be able to do the kinds of stuff that we'd like to do with the guild bank that would help everybody unless people donate more. So, like for example, what I do is I pledge, to myself, I pledge that I'm going to donate a certain amount of money per day, and I try to go on there and pledge a little bit. Initially, that was 1 gold a day, then I upped it to 2, then I upped it to 5. Just as my financial situation changes. If I lose all my money because I get hacked, which isn't going to happen because I have two-factor authentication, and I highly recommend everybody get that right now if you don't have it. If my money goes down, I will reduce my pledge. Think of it as an informal Patreon. Do not feel the pressure. You do not have to. Like Buish just said in guild chat, she can't do enchanting, or she's doing enchanting, so she doesn't have any money to spare. Totally fine. And when you can, do it. We really appreciate it. And the money that goes towards the guild bank, is very, very helpful. It'll allow us to get more tabs. It'll allow us to, when we do raiding, it'd be great if everybody could repair from the guild bank rather than out of their own pockets. Really helps. So voluntarily donating, items as well helps. I believe everybody should be able to deposit into the first tab. So even if you can't deposit into the second tab, you can put in the first tab, and we will have that getting organized for you. Another thing that we can do, which is something that Void and I have been throwing around as a possibility, but it requires you guys to sign on to that, which is a formal guild dungeon run policy, or not really a policy, but kind of a guideline. Which is, if a BOE that's worth something drops, like a, Fury's deck item or something, let's toss it in the guild bank. That is a very easy way for the guild to earn money. And if you think about it, a guild run wouldn't be happening without the guild. So it's one way to kind of pay it back. Again, ultimately, we kind of understand that right now everybody's undergeared and poor, and we're not expecting people to be super eager to do that. But, if you're in a group with all guildies, and, hey, why don't you say something? Say, hey, do you guys mind if we put BOEs from here into the bank? And if everybody agrees to it, let's do it. You're probably going to see that Void and I are going to be encouraging that. So be wary. Of course, now nobody's going to want to group with us. But yeah. So I think that's it for what I wanted to say there.
So just in the spirit of donations, until we have loads of space in the bank, try to keep donations to just some cash or like TBC relative content. We don't need heavy, woolen bandages and that sort of a thing in the bank. Try to keep it to the level 70 stuff that we can use or we can sell to generate some cash for the bank.
I would say 60. I would say 60 to 70.
60 to 70, fine. So both Vishy and I have bank alts. It looks like I'm going to be kind of leading the charge on the guild bank. So if anybody has any further questions, please ask me at a later time, and we can get things sorted out. And as it develops, I'll try to keep everybody posted.
Yes. Next thing we want to talk about is guild professions. So I'm trying to list everybody's professions in their guild. What is it called? Public note. So if you don't have anything in your public note, let me know. Or let Void know, because Void can change them now too. That is important. We're also going to be at some point in this meeting, we're going to be giving you guys out a form if you're interested in raiding. It will be asking you about your professions there, so don't worry about messaging us if you're going to be filling out that form. And don't message us right now because we're doing the meeting. Appreciate it, though. We would like to have 3 formal guild professions at least. We'd like to focus on enchanting, jewel crafting, and alchemists, because those have the most function in guild. Not that, blacksmithing, leatherworking, etc. can't help, but it's kind of super important that we have a guild enchanter, that we have a guild jewel crafter, that we have a guild alchemist. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to arrange that. We haven't really discussed that. But that's kind of where we're leaning right now. we aren't raiding yet, so it's not super important, but if I had to take a guess, it sounds like Buish is leveling her enchanting for that purpose. Neroli has been taking lots of jewel crafting recipes and stuff, and both of those guys are real cool. So I don't have a problem with them, taking those places. But again, we will formalize that sort of thing as we get closer to raiding. Alchemists. We need basically as many alchemists as possible because there are 3 specs on alchemy. You got elixir, potion, and transmute. The nice thing is if we can get 1 potion, 1 elixir, then the rest of y'all can go transmute and be the most effective for the guild because that's more cooldowns and stuff, I believe. Alchemists, correct me if I'm wrong. If we can get the guild bank really going here, we can start supplying people with gems, enchants, and very important potions and elixirs for raids. So if you'd like the guild to be able to sponsor those things, help us out.
Just to jump in real quick, we realize that this is early days and that raiding is still a little bit of ways away. We just want to put this on everybody's radar so they can be on the lookout for, do they want to become, the guild alchemist or whatever. Just keep us in the loop. Let us know what you're thinking, and so we're more informed when the time comes.
Do you get it? Radar. Everybody's muted, so I can't hear their groans. So Void's groan for everybody. Okay, speaking of raids, let's talk about raids finally. I think that's why a lot of people are here and want to talk about it. We would like to start preparing for raids. We came up with an idea where we want to make sure that anybody that we're bringing into raids can do the basics. DPS, don't pull aggro, that sort of stuff. So what we're going to do is eventually, not immediately, but soon, we'd like to have some heroics set up where Void and I, or Void, or just me, will take some people in on a heroic, and everybody, like Void said earlier, put your game face on. Show us what you can do. Do the most damage, etc. We would like to have, all officers, which currently is basically just Void, and myself sign off before people are cleared for raids. It's just to make sure that everybody's set. And don't think of this as like a job interview. Think of it more as like when you have to go and get your license to drive. You can do it again. If you fuck up, it's okay. This is a learning experience. It's important that everybody know what they're doing so that way when we go into raids, we don't waste everybody's time. The reason why people take raids seriously is because unlike a 5-man dungeon, you're not just wasting the time of 1 person or 4 people, you're wasting the time of 9 people or more. So everybody has got to have their game faces on, and we're here to help. Here's some things that I think Void is going to go through some stuff that we'd like for people to demonstrate in these trials or whatever you want to call them.
So like Fishy said, I mean, it's the basics. This isn't rocket surgery, right? For DPS, it's
rocket surgery.
I knew what I said.
Okay.
It's, if you're DPS, don't pull aggro. Wait for the tanks to have aggro. And with Vishy, that can take a long time.
Oh, fuck off.
Making sure that you're not pulling from the tank, that you're watching your threat meters. Making sure that you're putting out, strong DPS. Keeping your buffs up. Distributing conjured items, water, hellstones, etc. Don't stand in the fire. Sheep when required, that sort of a thing. Being able to dispel. It's all the real basic stuff. So we're not looking for top tier mythic performance. We're just looking for, hey, do your job, do it well, and you're good to go. You want to talk about tanks?
Yeah, sure. Since I'm a tank, I'll lead the tank stuff. Look, if you're a tank, you do need some form of leadership skills. You don't have to be the raid leader to tank, but you have to be able to say, to a group, hey, here's what we're doing, because it demonstrates that you have an understanding of how this game works. You can't just be somebody who's tunnel visioned and only understands how their stuff works. You have to kind of get a feel for how other people work. Doesn't mean you have to master every class, just, have a feel for it. Know when to ask for misdirect, for example. But you also have to have the ability to follow orders, because like we said, just because you're a tank does not mean you're the raid leader. So if the raid leader tells you to do something, you should do it. Keep threat, obviously. That's kind of important as a tank. Know your class, what's your defense cap, what's your avoidance cap, hit cap, what should you be stacking, what are your pre-raid best in slot stuff. Appropriate use of crowd control, so if you are leading a heroic run, or if you are leading the dungeon, or raid rather, or even just temporarily leading, like for trash or something, know when it's right to use crowd control. Who can crowd control what? You should know that. It's not that complicated in Burning Crusade. There aren't that many, crowd controls. It's not like, live where every single class has everything. Know who has crowd control, what they can crowd control, how they work. Don't break crowd control, so particularly for us paladins, that can be a little difficult. Proper understanding of fight mechanics. As a tank, I'd like to ask you to do a little bit of extra homework. Try not to just know your stuff, but try to know other people's stuff, so that way if you see somebody else doing something wrong, you can advise them. Again, that's why tanks kind of have like a pseudo-leadership role even when they are not in the leadership. Obviously, proper pulling is important too. Try not to pull extras. That is a learning experience. I speak firsthand. I have pulled extra on regular bases, but you get better over time, and as long as you demonstrate the ability to get better, it shouldn't be an issue. And of course, stay out of fire. Fire bad. If you're standing in fire and you're a tank, it's going to be pretty bad for everybody else. At least if a DPS stands in fire, okay. They're pretty forgettable.
For healers, again, this is all the basic stuff. Making sure that you keep your mana up, you can manage it properly. Making sure that people aren't dying left and right. On the rare occasion that you are asked for a crowd control, shackle or roots or what have you, you're able to do that. Dispels is a big one. If you're a healer, you probably want decursive, that sort of a thing. And again, don't stand in the fire too. For everybody, we're going to want people to make sure that they have a couple of sort of essential add-ons. Things like...
Well, hold on. Before we go forward, I'm sorry. I forgot to put one other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick about tanks, is that you got to keep your eye on the healer's mana. That's super important, and I suck at that sometimes, and I apologize ahead of time and retroactively for all of the fuck-ups I've done on that. But that is important. Check your group readiness. There's a neat little thing called /readycheck where you can check the readiness of everybody. Please use it. Okay, sorry, go on.
All good. So for everybody that's going to get serious doing heroics and raiding and everything, there's a couple of required add-ons that we're going to want everybody to have. And we'll do a formalized list somewhere on the Discord. But again, it's the basics. So it's Omen or a threat meter. Probably deadly boss mods or bigwigs if you're a sadist. For DPS and really for just about everybody, I'd like everybody to be running damage meters so you can see where you are and if you need to improve. I know that I did that myself. Pally Power for paladins, decursive for anybody that can curse, or decurse I should say. And if you're a healer or something
decurse
like,
and cure. Yeah,
right.
Decursive isn't just for curses, just to be clear.
And if you're a healer, Healbot Grid or some other, alternative type thing.
Yeah, you can use mouse over macros if you prefer that. You don't have to use a mod if you don't want to. Just, make sure that you are, you're not just, okay, I need to use Holy Light. I'm going to click on their profile first, then I'm going to go and click on Holy Light or hit the, it's just, there are better ways to do things. Do the research.
As we've discussed many times, people that click their abilities are just inherently not as good at the game.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so last word on this one would be for everybody to just try to learn your spec as best as you can. This is really old content, so there's so much great information available online. Google stuff, there's full-on class guides for every spec that outline top to bottom what you need to do, how you allocate your talent points, macros, add-ons, gear, the whole 9 yards. Go look it up. I see people pretty much every day asking some things about a spec or something like that in Guild, and that's all fine and good, and don't necessarily stop doing that, but also use Google, because I'm telling you, Google is probably going to give you better information than anybody can just in a quick message. So go check out a guide.
Yeah, and Bubba mentioned in guild chat, and he's absolutely right. There is some bad information out there. Make sure that if you're looking at like a forum that says like what patch it is when the person was posting it, that it's below 3.0. Because if it's after 3.0, it's probably not accurate anymore. And if it's before 2.0, it's definitely not accurate.
Good point.
Okay, we are almost ready to wrap up here. So Void and I put together a form that you guys can fill out, and it is for people who are interested in raiding, whether that be now or eventually. So if you're level 30 but you do want to raid eventually, there's a place for you. Don't worry about it. I will be linking the form in the Discord. I will not be linking it in-game because it is quite the URL. I will be linking it in Discord at probably like immediately after the meeting or towards the end here. I just want to make sure that everything is set up. But it will ask for just about everything, your availability, etc. Please take the time and fill that out properly. There is a section or two that talks about time zones and stuff. If you have any problems, please ask first. We tried to use server time for everything because we can't have everybody using all their local time zones. It's just, there's no way to make that work with the data. So again, I will be linking that momentarily. I just want to go through it one more time while Void's talking here.
Just to be extra clear on that, there is a section where we're going to have everybody sort of check when they're going to be consistently available to raid, so we can figure out when's going to be the best time for the guild. Remember that that is server time. It is not your local time. It's not necessarily your local time. Just make a note of that. I'm sorry that we're keep beating that dead horse, but it's critically important. Otherwise, we will have bad information, and we're going to set up a crazy-ass raid time that no one's going to be able to make. So, okay, I want to touch on just the notion of being patient with us in the guild and everything. So we're having some pretty serious conversations right now, but it's likely that we're pretty far away from raiding. People are still hitting 70. There's gear to be sought out. There's heroic keys. There's professions. There's getting attuned to all the raids. Like, we know that this is going to take some time. We're just trying to get out in front of a lot of this stuff. If you want to help, and gosh, we really hope you do, help your fellow guildies out with this stuff. You know, help them do the runs that they need to get attuned or get quests out of the way, that sort of a thing. Help us out with the guild bank. I know that we keep beating that dead horse too, but we really do need the help. Be friendly, be active, be social. For the love of God, get in Discord. If you're online, get in Discord. Come have a conversation with us. Let's make some connections. Let's build this community. It's so, so important. If we have a good community, the rest of the shit's just going to fall into place. I'm telling you. Be ready to teach other people. You know, if you've done some homework and you know what you're talking about, and you do see somebody that's asking for help, message them. Get them in Discord. Have a conversation. Direct them to the guide that you used. Whatever it takes. And again, keep beating the dead horse, but help us recruit friendly, mature, and skilled players. It's critically important at this stage. So far, so good, but we got to keep doing what we're doing.
I just linked the form for everybody. Please just wait till the meeting is over. Let me check to make sure that worked properly. Yes, it did. Excellent. Please just wait until the end of the meeting before filling that out. I want everybody to be able to focus, you know?
Right.
If there are ever any problems with a guildie or with the guild itself, please take screenshots. If it's really bad, take screenshots and send them to the officers, you know, whether that be Void, me, or any future officers. This is what we're here for. It is, like we said, most important that people are having fun. People are not having fun if there's drama. Try to minimize drama. If you're upset about something, try to keep it to yourself. Don't, you know, make it worse, and then talk to us. Okay? We're not anticipating any drama, but it's highly recommended that just in case, and, you know, just honestly, it's a good add-on, get something like Chatter, which would allow you to add time codes to your chat. So God forbid something happens. Like, there was an issue earlier, a week or two ago, where if I had time codes of stuff, I would have been able to sort something out a lot easier. So that is we highly recommend that you get Chatter. Just it's a really great add-on as well. It allows you to set people's main next to their name, which is excellent. What I tend to do is I use it to set notes for people that I see being idiots in world chat. So if you were able to see my chat, you would be able to see idiot, moron, cunt, etc. All right. So we are going to open the floor to suggestions. What I'm going to do just to keep
Vishy?
things. Oh, sorry. What's up?
What we might want to do is when we open up the channel so everybody can speak,
I've
just in
already
guild chat.
I've already
Okay, you
got,
got it?
yeah. What I was saying is,
Go ahead.
if anybody has a suggestion that they'd like to bring up, please say that raise your hand, so to speak, in guild chat on, online here on WoW, and I will
Yeah,
unmute
type
you.
1.
Type 1. That's a good idea. Type 1 if there's something you would like to say. Please keep it to serious stuff only. If I unmute you and you say something stupid, it's not going to look good. If there's nothing anybody wants to say, that's excellent. Boo, I thought you had something that you wanted to say. Do you still? Okay, Vag has something. Gonna unmute. Okay, Vag, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Can you say anything in the meeting? Can you unmute on Discord? Should have worked.
Like I said, I had to quit Discord for it to work.
Let me see if I take her out of the room and put her back in. Nope, did not work. Okay, hold on one second, guys. We're having technical difficulties. I'm gonna just promote her to officer for a second in the Discord. Okay, Vag, you should be able to speak now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, how many runs will you do in a week?
Of rating, that
Do you
entirely
think?
depends on
Yeah.
people's availability. Most guilds
What's the
tend
normal?
to normally people do 2 raids a week of around 3 hours each. I believe that that's correct. If somebody else thinks that they have a different idea for that, please say
That
so.
sounds about right.
So 2-3 times a week?
2 or 3 times a week. I mean, like, it's one of those things where you're going to have to play it a little bit by ear. You'll have 2 probably minimum. And then from there, if, let's say, we get 10 out of 11 bosses done in Karazhan and we say, hey, is everybody available tomorrow? Even though we did 2 things a week and everybody's available, screw it. Let's do it. Yeah, usually 3 to 4 hours. Once it's on farm, you can try to, fit that into one night. Absolutely. But keep in mind also that if we have Karazhan on farm, Zul'Aman is coming out in a month. So by the time we have Karazhan on farm, we could try Zul'Aman. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and how many hours does one raid take?
Anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. So when you guys
Okay.
do fill out the raid form, if you're only available for like 1 hour, don't even bother checkboxing it. Only checkbox stuff for times that you're available for 3 hours or more.
Okay.
Okay, going to...
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Moses, I see Moses wanted to say something. I'll unmute you as well. 1 second. Okay, you should be able to talk now.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. So, my question was, how is loot going to be distributed?
That's a
Will it be,
great
like,
question.
class loot system?
Yeah, so we have not decided on that yet, to be perfectly honest with people. We're open to suggestions. I personally... I like the idea of DKP, but I know that it has some issues. I don't want to do Loot Council. I don't think anybody wants us to do Loot Council. This is not a serious... We're not that level of seriousness. But I would like to make it fair. I would like to make it so that people can, one of the reasons I like DKP is I like the idea that, for example, I could award people some DKP points up to a maximum of a certain amount or whatever, of course, for contributing, whether that be to guild or to the bank rather, or to to doing heroic runs to help gear other people. Being able to reward people for doing good stuff and being part of the team is kind of great. It is definitely not going to be on group loot. It is definitely not going to be on Need Before Greed. It will be on Master Loot, but how we decide those items is not formal. And please, by all means, if you have experience with a really nice loot system that you want to throw my way, please toss it my way, or to Void.
I know that it's something that's important to obviously everybody, and we will come up with a system that does make a good amount of sense. I promise you that. No loot system is perfect. Every single system has some downsides. We will try to minimize the downsides and come up with a system that incentivizes everybody to come along with us. But it's going to take a little work to kind of hash that out. And we'll, like I said, we could use some input. If there are ideas out there, please share them with us. I have some ideas, and I know Vishy has some ideas, and we will get that sorted out
before
in
we
future.
raid. Yeah, it's going to be sorted out well before we raid. We will have an official stance on that. And look, if we start raiding and we don't like the system, we'll have to change it. We're somewhat fluid. It's not that formal. Yeah, Moses, if you got a second question, feel free.
I know that you guys touched on like the whole little mini interview thing in terms of like doing heroics. Do you guys have like a separate metric to deal with like supportive classes that don't deal as much DPS as the usual ones like mages?
Yeah, so basically, we're not stupid. We understand that, support classes are not going to be pulling as much. We're not that stupid. We know that support classes are like there is a big difference between what a support class can do and what a just a raw damage class can do. You're not going to be if it's an AoE pull, don't worry, DPS warriors, you're not going to be judged that harshly. Just because there's a mage in the group and Void is getting his seed everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Rep pallies will not be allowed, so we don't have to worry about that.
Any other questions or just comments or anything like that?
Is that good from you, Moses? Is that all right?
Yep.
All right. If anybody else has something that they'd like to say or ask, please say one in the guild chat and you'll be unmuted. If there's nothing else to be said, that's great. Boo, you sure you don't want to say anything on voice? Because remember that this is being recorded, but they won't be able to see the guild chat. So if you want to say it on voice. Okay, Ashton, you're next. Here we go. 1 second. Okay, you're good.
Okay. A simple question, and probably won't apply for a good while until we get into rating. But do we have plans for splitting up delegation of the different roles, such as a tank lead, heal lead, caster lead, etc.?
Yeah, I spoke with Void about possibly doing class leads, but that might be a bit ridiculous at this stage in the game. So I do like your idea right there of maybe making it tank lead, range DPS, melee DPS, etc. That's not a bad idea. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Void, do you have anything you wanted to say about that?
No, like you said, we touched on that briefly, and I think we're thinking the same thing you are. It's just, like I said, early days, so there's no real need for it yet. But if we continue to grow like we are, then yeah, we're going to need to help delegate some responsibilities out, and that's probably a pretty sharp way of doing it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll take that into account, and we'll have a more solid answer for you soon as to like who that's going to be and everything. Thank you. Okay, and Boo is going to talk next. Here we go. 1 second. Okay, Boo, you're good.
Okay, so my first suggestion was a channel on Discord for people who needed certain instances for quest or like a certain piece of gear,
So looking for
or
group?
if they need to rep grind, because like they said, like Void and Bubba need Underbog, and I had no idea. I would have ran them. Jared and I could have run them both through. It wouldn't have taken too long. That way, that kind of shit gets done.
That's a good idea. So
Very good idea.
I'll make a channel called Looking for Group right now.
To add
Well,
to the
actually, we
earlier
already have group
conversation-
planning. I'm going to change that to Looking for Group, if that's all right.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I have to ask your permission.
To add to the loot thing, I've sensed BC and retail. I've always been in guilds who it wasn't really necessarily a loot council, but you ran with people who weren't greedy jackasses and understood that if you equally geared everybody, you could do more progression. If you gear one person because they've got higher DKP or they're rolling on it or what have you, you're not going to be able to get very far. There are also, I think we have a good community of people who will be willing to sub out if they say, I don't need loot from this boss, but this healer or this mage or this warrior needs this. So let him take my place for this boss. That way we gear our guild, not just 10 people.
If everybody can be on the same page with that, I'm fine with that. But that's the problem is getting everybody on the same page with that. So does anybody here disagree with that? And for those who are listening to this as a recording, if you do have a disagreement, please bring it up with me and Void. We will take that into account. We're not making any big decisions here today.
Boo, to your point, for whatever it's worth, and I don't know if I want to chuck this grenade in there, but I am anti-DKP. I think it has too many flaws in the system, and something closer to what you've described is something that I'm much more comfortable with. So that's the direction I will be pushing in our discussions. If that means
I do have one concern, which is for when the inevitability of pugging some spots comes in.
if there's pugs, we just have to roll. That's just the way it's going to have to be.
I mean, if there's pugs coming and find out what gear they need.
Yeah.
I mean, most people should know what gear they need from what bosses and then discuss it. It takes
Okay.
a second.
Well, my concern is that I think in the beginning we're probably going to have to take pugs. I mean, we have been really good at recruiting some healers that are pretty solid over the last couple days, which is good, finally. But, I just find it unlikely that our first raid is going to be all guild. I'd love it if we could do that, but I don't see that happening. But, up to you guys. Again, if everybody's on the same page with this, that will work. But it is one of those systems where it doesn't work unless everybody is on the same page. Don't be a greedy jackass, and that should work.
I mean, from my experience when doing 5-mans with a guild, I've seen people pass on gear that, they need, but it's a bigger upgrade for someone else.
Right. I think eventually one of the things we will be doing with ranks is that if people have demonstrated that they're a team player and that they, are a regular raider, they'll probably get a rank up or something like that. And that'll help us designate, hey, sure, you're new to the guild and this item drop that you can use, but so can this person. And, until you've demonstrated that you're going to show up to raids and stuff, I don't know. That's kind of one of the reasons that I like DKP. It's something to look into.
We've got a lot to discuss is the moral of the story, and we're looking for feedback. So if you have it, pull us aside, give us some information. If you're in a guild that had a brilliant system of distributing loot, hey man, share it with us. We really want to know. But we'll hash it out not here and let everybody get back to doing what they're doing.
Yeah, Dwayne is saying that you usually use DKP for progress, not farm, but in the beginning everything is going to be progress. Okay, is that everything you want to say, Boo?
Yeah.
Excellent. If anybody else has something to say, please say one in guild chat and we'll get you on here. I'm not seeing any ones, which is good.
So just for what it's worth, everybody, hey, we got 25 people online. That is way more than I anticipated for this. So thank you guys so much for making the time and come and listen to Vishy and I blather on. We hope that this instilled some confidence in you guys with where we're headed. Looking for feedback, looking for input. Let us know what you guys think.
And there is one other thing I want to mention, which is, I guess I just thought of it now, which is that for those who are worried that, I can't, I can't raid at certain times, whatever, look at how many people we have online right now. We are almost definitely going to have multiple different time slots for Karazhan. It's almost definite. The issue is going to come when we want to combine two 10-man groups into doing 25-mans, but I think that's a thing we'll tackle when we get there, and it's entirely possible we'll wind up having 3 Karazhans going, with some people that are kind of flexible with time. We'll see what happens. All the more reason for you guys to fill out the form. It's super duper important. If your raid availability changes, I can delete your input on the form, and you can fill out the form all over again. So don't worry about that.
Go fill out the form.
Go fill out the form.
Fill it out. We need the info.
If you are interested in raiding, please do. I have linked the form in announcements on Discord. Dizzle has something he wants to say, so let me just real quick unmute him. Okay, Dizzle, hold on. Nope, I think I unmuted the wrong person. Okay, Dizzle, you're
Hola. Hey, just the one question. I know we have like specific enchanters and tailors and stuff. For patterns, do they get first dibs and then after we'll just roll in DKP, or how will that work?
Well, it looks like we're leaning against doing DKP. So if DKP isn't a thing, obviously that's not how we'll decide it. When we say we have a guild enchanter, a guild whatever, it's more. I really would like that to be somewhat informal. If something drops and the guild person is there and it's DK and it's BOP and it's an all guild run, if somebody really has a problem with us giving a BOP thing to the guild enchanter or the guild jewel crafter, etc., talk to us.
Okay, well, that's not a problem. It's just like later on, then like with the mats and stuff. I'm assuming like if we have extra, we'll donate to the guild, and then that enchanter can like give us enchants we need. That's what I was kind of getting at.
Yes, that would be great, especially if we can get... Honestly, if everybody chipped in a little bit right now, I'd be able to buy us a third tab in the guild bank, and what I'd like to do is, if a BOE green drops, why don't you just give it to the guild bank? Definitely don't vendor it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking now, and then we could like try to get our people geared, because I remember when I used to raid back in the day, we had like just people donate either gold or all their mats, and then that covered all their potions, that covered all elixirs, all the food we need. We just had like 5 main people who stayed on top of it, and they just took mats from the guild bank.
And that's exactly what we would like to do, but that only works if people donate. One of the advantages of DKP that I'd like to do is that I can come up with a system, with limits, obviously, but, that if people donate to the guild bank, they can get some DKP that way, and it encourages that. That is one of the reasons that I was thinking DKP. I'm the one who brought it up first.
Perfect. One last question for DKP, because I've come across this problems whenever with other high-level guilds. What do we do when, we're running a person through and they're getting gear? Do they use DKP when everyone else doesn't need the gear?
Again, if we were to do DKP, that's something we would have to iron out. But it sounds like it is unlikely that we will be getting DKP as our loot system.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm good for questions. That's everything I was curious about.
Excellent. No, thank you for chiming in. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have anything they want to say? Please say 1 in the guild chat if you have anything you want to say. If you want to say something that is, that you don't want to say in the meeting, but you want to pull me or Void aside, or both of us after the meeting, that's fine too. Just please send me a message when we're done with the meeting. It sounds like we might be wrapping up here. All right. I think that's everything, guys. Now, reminder, if anybody missed part of the meeting, or if you're just listening to this now, obviously I'm putting this on YouTube. Give me some time to get that set up. on making a new channel for the guild. I don't expect that we'll be using it for a lot of stuff, but it'll be there. And that's a wrap, guys. I think that's it. So thank you guys so much. Really, this was excellent. Thank you for participating. Thank you for asking your questions. Thank you for listening. And I guess we'll be on our way. Bye, everybody.